Good morning, everyone. I'm Mary Preenon. I'm the Director of Communications for the Hudson Gateway Association of Realtors. Thank you all again for joining us for another virtual breakfast with benefits. And today we're going to find out how you can all help your clients save money on their utility bills with the real estate guide to energy efficiency. And I have two great guests today. We have Matt Dean from the Association for Affordable Energy, and we also have Lauren Bryce from Sustainable Westchester. And they are going to have some really, really wonderful information. We are recording this so that we will send it around to you later today, and you can even share this with your clients too. So Matt, Lauren, take it away. Thank you.
So I imagine that I'm actually opening the presentation. So I'm going to screen share here for a second. And
Hi, Maria, I'm so sorry. And I just met you. So Maria, why don't you introduce yourself?
I will, no worries, no worries. So I'm the Director of Marketing and Communications for Sustainable Westchester. And Mary is right, you will be hearing from Lauren, but I'm going to take you through a few quick things first. But first I want to thank Mary and the organization for inviting us. We are thrilled to be here, and we're so glad so many of you.
Maria, you're muted.
I am?
No, I hear her.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Does everyone hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. I'm sorry. Okay, so I want to thank you all for being here with us this morning, and I'm just going to get started. So Sustainable Westchester is actually here to talk to you about community energy programs that can help your buyers and sellers actually take action, be part of the transition to a clean energy future, but importantly, add value to their homes and make an environmental impact that adds value to their communities and creates a higher quality of life for all of the residents. Before we get into that, I just want to put a few things in context or perspective, if you will. This is a chart that talks about the source of carbon emissions in the mid-Hudson region. So why is all of this important? If you look at what we have here circled, you'll see that 44% of carbon emissions actually comes from building residential and commercial energy consumption. And the fact in the right-hand corner surprises people all of the time, but the American Lung Association actually gives Westchester County an F grade for air quality. So you can see here is sort of the motivation for action. And then the New York State climate law, the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act, which is actually a leader in the nation in terms of the robust mandates it puts out, has some lofty and robust goals for us as a state and consequently the region. The first goal is 70% renewable energy by 2030, which is just under 9 years. And we are currently now under 30% renewable energy. So you see there's quite a ways to go. Sorry about that. And also 40% greenhouse gas emissions reduction by 2030 and 85% by 2050. And an important factor in a diverse area such as the Mid-Hudson region and Westchester County is that all of these benefits and these goals need to be also earmarked for disadvantaged communities. So the law sets up guidelines in that regard as well. So when we talk about community energy programs, what you just learned, you'll see that it matters also because if we get together as a community with collective action, we can make a high impact at scale. It allows for ease of adoption for all residents. It builds resiliency, healthier environments, and of course, for your buyers and sellers, an important factor is an improved quality of life. It puts the power in the hands of the community and it gives each of the residents choice. It offers access to a broad range so we can address the diversity in our region and ensure a level of environmental justice. And it creates a green local economy, which means that it creates a thriving area. So what can we do and how do we meet these goals? And that's where we step in, Sustainable Westchester. So we talk about our pillars. One of our first pillars is actually built on the idea of community, that we work together with individual communities. We provide education, advocacy, and solid solutions tailored to their residents. And there's this idea, again, that community comes together to create a collective. And the collective is hugely important in that it provides clout, buying power, and allows us to come into each of the individual communities with aggregated solutions that are effective and cost efficient. One of the next critical pillars is our ability to collaborate. We collaborate with the communities and help to promote and raise up the initiatives that come out of the communities at a grass level, at a grassroots level. So everything from food composting to climate action goals, we can play a role in that regard. We also, based on the level of our experience and expertise and strategic partnerships, are always looking to bring innovation in the area of sustainability and community energy programs. And we're always looking for what the next solution is. And we also bring a level of leadership. So we lead the county with many of our programs, but we also are thought leaders and have a seat at many important tables across the state. And that helps us be advocates for each of the municipalities. So as we play this role, we work with and service and provide solutions that are both socially and environmentally sound to all of our member municipalities. For us here in Westchester, it's these 44 municipalities and the county itself. And our programs include the two mainstay community energy programs, which I'll talk a little bit more detail in a second. Electrification solutions, and Lauren will talk to you about clean heating and cooling. And for our clean transportation, I'll say what we bring to the municipalities are opportunities and the infrastructure for charging stations, municipal fleet conversion. We're working on zero emissions, school bus initiatives. We also bring grid efficiency programs. They are residential level programs in Con Ed area for a program called Grid Rewards, where you can earn monies, save cash, and lower your carbon footprints, and a virtual power plant program, which is basically a solar to battery storage program. When we know here in the county, surely there is often a need for that kind of backup. And then we have zero waste programs. So we have a Recycle Right app and Recyclopedia and education around creating a zero waste lifestyle. And we also have a sustainable landscaping, which is an electric landscaping solution, which we know is of interest to many of the communities throughout the region. So now I am going to jump right into these community energy programs, and they are a benefit for your buyers. As your buyers come into the communities that participate in the programs, and some of them are county-wide, these are great ways to help educate your buyers about how to not only save energy, save money in some instances, and in all instances, make an environmental impact that's positive and contributes to the overall quality of life. So Westchester Power is our flagship program, if you will, and it is a community electricity program. And basically, how does it work? So this goes back to that community collective aggregation. We aggregate the 28 communities that participate in the program to actually buy electricity in bulk, if you will. We are the source of the electricity. We buy and we work with a energy services company. And on behalf of all the participating municipalities, we go out to bid through an auction process and we buy power. We currently buy 100% New York State renewable energy. And of course, the goal of the program is to be buying renewable energy. We deliver that energy through Con Ed or NYSEG or whatever the utility is. They remain the delivery. They deliver the energy, they maintain the lines, they work with the customers for the billing. And in the end, you, the customer, have the choice for this clean, renewable energy source. It differs from what the typical utility provides in that theirs is what we call a standard supply, which is a mix of fossil fuels and some renewables. And this program, again, is 100% renewable. You can participate in the program if you're in one of the 28 municipalities that participate. Why is this important? It is because the municipalities have taken charge of their energy future. Again, they are buying for residents and small businesses. We proactively set a criteria for the supply. So while we cannot guarantee a savings with the program, we can certainly guarantee competitive pricing against other 100% renewable options. We're in the community always educating and advocating for clean energy, and that's critically important as we learn that the more residents and municipalities themselves learn about clean energy, and the first action gives way to the next action and the next action. And residents always have choice, and they get this choice through this vetted program. So while this becomes the default supply in their municipality, they always have the option to opt out of the program and remain with the utility supply or find a private energy services company on their own. And again, this is of course important because we're not just advocating local and New York State energy goals. We are creating this healthier, cleaner environment in each of the communities across the county. And for the communities themselves, it positions them to get certifications and grants from the state, which help further their other sustainability initiatives. And so these are the participating municipalities in the Westchester Power program. As we've said, there are 28 of them, and they are not just listed here, but they are the ones in blue there. And the program services about 115,000 residents and small businesses in Westchester County. And so when we talk about the benefits, again, it is a vetted community supply program. So that means all of those annoying letters you get in the mail or solicitation calls, you don't have to sift through all of those offers. We kind of do the work for you, and through your municipality's commitment to this program, they in turn have done the work for you. And unlike the energy services company practices that you often see, there are no fees for this program. There are no surprise rates and there are no penalties. And then the positive is choice is yours for your residents, and they can opt out at any time. There's cost control and stability. There isn't a savings guaranteed with this program when you compare it potentially to Con Ed or NYSEG rates. But the idea is that there is this is a fixed rate program. So every month the rate remains the same, and your residents are not subject to fluctuation in energy pricing. And we are offering competitive green supply pricing. So if you go to find a renewable energy services company or ESCO on your own, you'll find that the pricing for the Westchester Power program is typically one of the lowest in the marketplace. And that of course goes back to the collective cloud. One of the other benefits we talk about all the time is the fact that there's advocacy and education. We're in the community all the time. We're talking to residents. We're providing education about clean energy. We're providing other services, and each action builds confidence for more action. And then mitigating climate change is a critical piece. And in the 5 years that the program has, we're actually just celebrating our 5th anniversary, by the way, but in the 5 years that the program has been in the county, we've actually reduced carbon emissions in the county by 775,000 metric tons, which sounds like a big number, and of course it is. And we like to equate it to something that people can sort of wrap their arms around. And if you think about it in terms of cars off the road, it's about 168,000 cars a year off the road. So that really takes a big bite into carbon emissions and goes a long way in creating a healthier environment. And your residents can always find information about the program through our website. They can see if their municipality participates. They can understand all about the current rates and the historical perspective of the program, and they can make a choice for themselves. As residents move into new communities, and if the community participates, they are notified shortly thereafter that they're eligible for the program. And I go back to continuously saying the choice is theirs. They can opt out or they can remain, or they can choose to remain enrolled. And so I think that's it for Westchester Power. But I will say that the Westchester Power program has really laid the foundation for the community solar program and other clean energy actions, certainly for sustainable Westchester's portfolio. Community solar. So everyone thinks of solar as what is on your roof. And we are lucky enough to see that people have taken solar action by putting solar panels on their rooftop. And in fact, our community solar program began with a program called Solarize Westchester, which was a rooftop solar initiative. It was a campaign that took place in 22 municipalities. It resulted in 600 installations and 6 megawatts of electricity. The one thing we did find, however, is that of the people who said they were interested, about 80% of them were ineligible for rooftop solar. So as you drive around the region, you see all sorts of trees and old homes. So roofs don't always work based on the condition or the age of the roof. A house that is shady doesn't always work and surrounded by trees, and depending upon the orientation of the sun, not every roof works. And then of course, there's a whole swath of people that are never going to be eligible because they don't have access to their roofs. They're either renters, they live in co-ops or townhomes where they don't have the opportunity to put something on their roof or even a solar array installation on their property.
So Maria, I think we have just one more minute to learn about community solar, if that's
Sure.
okay.
Yep. So community solar works in that solar electricity panels are installed off-site in sunny locations to produce solar, and then utility customers subscribe. And then of course there's dollar savings. So the benefits of community solar include up to 10% savings on your electricity bill through your solar credits. The idea that you don't have any need for solar panel installation or the costs associated, obviously. There are no fees or cancellations or penalties associated with enrolling in a community solar program. And a community solar program is compatible with any electricity supply. So if you're in the Westchester Power program, or you with Con Ed or NYSEG or your own ESCO, community solar basically overlays on top of any program and allows you to double your environmental impact. And we also like to say it takes about 7 minutes to sign up. So if residents are interested, this is county-wide. There are programs available in both Con Ed and NYSEG utility areas. And you can find them on our site. And we're here to help if anyone wants to learn more or in fact needs to have help signing up. It's a fairly straightforward process. And now I'm turning it over to Lauren, who's going to talk to you about energy efficiency and electrification solutions. Lauren, you're muted.
What a way to start a presentation, by being on mute. How lame. That's like the biggest Zoom faux pas to make. So anyway, hi everyone. It's really nice to meet you. I'm Lauren Bryce. I work at Sustainable Westchester on our residential clean heating and cooling initiatives. Some of you we've met before. I had presented a few weeks ago with Robeson when we were talking about electrification solutions in the home. So we're going to be talking about some of the same solutions, but we're also going to be thinking about all of this information through the lens of the home energy score that Matt Dean is going to be talking about right after me. So Maria had given you a great overview of the different programs that Sustainable Westchester offers. And just as a quick reminder, Sustainable Westchester is a nonprofit organization comprised of the member municipalities. So residents in our member municipalities, your customers, or maybe even you can take advantage of these programs. It's possible that you are already enrolled in the Westchester Power program, taking advantage of our renewable energy option, and signing up for community solar, as Maria said, is super easy, takes less than 10 minutes, and can save you 10% on your energy bill. So what I'm here to talk about now is energy smart homes. And I think we want to think about this from the perspective of home buyers, home sellers, and probably you for your own house as well. So certainly, I think new buyers of homes are starting to think about their operating costs a little bit more. When they're buying their house, they're thinking that they are buying something that's going to cost money and take energy to run. So by implementing some of the solutions that we'll be talking about within the Energy Smart Homes program, including energy efficiency and heat pumps, we're helping to make the house more comfortable and lower the operating costs. And before I move forward too much more, I just want to mention that the Energy Smart Homes, a program of Sustainable Westchester, is funded by NYSERDA, the New York State Energy and Research Development Authority, and we are supported by our member municipalities and our fabulous volunteers, some of who are on the call today or may have invited you to attend this webinar this morning. So a big shout out to the teams in the town of Ossining, village of Ossining, the village of Pelham, and village of Briarcliff. So thank you to everyone that's helped to bring this program to the communities. We couldn't do it without you. And just a little context around the programs that I'll be mentioning today, even though they're all focused on Westchester, certainly these rebates. Oh, my view is not full screen, Maria says. Really? So you see my notes? Oh, so everyone can join me in the presentation of my notes. I was on mute. I had the wrong screen showing. Okay, let me fix that. Let's try again. So I'm trying to bring up a slide right now that has the map of New York State as a reminder that these programs are available statewide. Did that fix it? Okay.
Yes.
So these programs are available statewide. The incentive ranges differ depending on who the utility is, but certainly if you have a house somewhere else in New York State or a relative or a friend you want to share information about these programs with, send them our way and we can point them in the right direction for sure. So we're talking about home energy use. Why? Because we know so much of our carbon emissions are coming from residential and commercial buildings. So Maria had mentioned a statistic that our emissions in Westchester County are even higher than the statewide average of 32% of New York State greenhouse gas emissions are coming from our buildings. It's even higher in Westchester because we have so many buildings here. So we need to make the transition away from fossil fuels. Just like people are talking about buying an electric car to stop going to the gas station, we can do the same thing with our homes. We can switch away from that old oil tank and move towards an electrically powered heat pump. And the mission here is if we are moving towards electrically powered appliances and electrifying everything, if your electricity is coming from a renewable source, and you are powering your home with this green electricity, you can essentially be 100% fossil fuel free in your heating and cooling. So no more oil deliveries, no more natural gas. You're just moving to an electric based heat pump. It can help to save money and reduce carbon emissions. So we are here as a resource for people that are looking to displace fossil fuel usage in their home. We have assistance for residential and commercial buildings. People can call us on the phone. We'll be happy to help speak with them and help them figure out which technology is the best. We offer a contractor partner list, and really just working with people is at the top of our minds. So we are recommending these 4 different types of technologies. I'm just going to move super fast through all of these options, but if it's piquing your interest, feel free to check out more information on the website or give me a call or send me an email right after this presentation and we can talk more. So NYSERDA, New York State Energy and Research Development Authority, offers a suite of home energy efficiency programs and incentives and rebates for people to get involved with. So if your house is expensive to heat in the wintertime, it feels drafty, you have high energy bills, it's a good idea to take a look at having a home energy assessment. The assessments are free and can bring a whole host of benefits, including reduced energy bills, a more comfortable house that stays warmer in the wintertime, cooler in the summer, and also gives you a quieter house. So we like to say adding insulation to the home is like wrapping a blanket around your house. So it's really helping to keep all that heat that you're paying so much for in the wintertime inside the house. The same in the summer, keep the cool air in the summer. I just saw a Facebook post from Katie Alberti. She lives in Ossining and she did insulation in her home a few years ago. And in the last few days of the heat wave, she was saying she never had to turn on her air conditioning. And even though it was getting to be 85 degrees outside, her house stayed at a cool temperature because it was keeping the cool air from the night before. So a lot of benefits for insulation and air sealing within home energy efficiency. And just so you know, there's different incentive programs for people to tap into rebates and incentives. So between $500 and $4,000 in incentives for an average income earner, a new home buyer, or potentially a seller. For people that have enhanced star property tax exemption, they can claim even more of a discount, up to 50% of their projects to get $5,000 back. And we also have assistance for apartment dwellers. So a little bit about air source heat pumps. Air source heat pumps, also called ductless mini splits, can be applied in an application without ducts, or you can do a whole home solution. They are much more efficient appliances than your typical heating and cooling units. You may have seen them before. The ductless mini split head looks just like this white box sitting up on the wall. And I'm just gonna, oh, so many clicks. I'm gonna go right through this. There are rebates and incentives for air source heat pumps from Con Ed and NYSEG right now. The cost to installing start about $4,000 for a single unit, but Con Edison is offering a $2,000 discount for every 10,000 BTUs installed, which for a typical home doing a whole home solution can equate to between $10,000 and $14,000 in rebates. So just moving right along for the sake of time, we're also promoting ground source heat pumps. So every day the sun is coming and hitting the earth, and the earth is absorbing that energy. So through a series of underground piping, geothermal heating and cooling can transfer energy from below the ground into our building. So this is a solution for people that have existing ductwork in their home or are looking to install it. Geothermal heating and cooling is the most efficient heating and cooling option out there. It's slightly more expensive than air source, but since it's more efficient, it has a quicker payback time. And I like this picture of Jen in Katona. She installed a geothermal system at her home, and she's standing at this place in her yard because installing the geothermal system represented getting rid of outside equipment in her house. So there's no noisy equipment outside the home. There's yard space, and it's just a lovely solution to think about if you are willing to take the plunge. So there are significant costs to doing geothermal, but when you think about the federal tax credit covering up to a quarter of the project, plus state and utility incentives, the savings can be quite significant. And the payback period really can be only a couple of years. So not only is this a worthwhile investment, but you're also eliminating combustion from your home. So no more need to have that carbon monoxide detector, and you're living more comfortably and with lower operating costs. Okay, that's a little bit about geothermal. And the last solution we just want to talk about super fast is the heat pump hot water heater, which is the most efficient way to heat hot water. And it provides reliable hot water. It's inexpensive to operate. And again, there are rebates and incentives from Con Ed for these units. So if you're thinking, how do I get involved with these programs? How can I get an energy assessment? How can I get a site visit? We have a list of 10 contractors that we recommend. each of the contractors can give an assessment for a different technology. Some cover more technology, some do it all, some specialize in one. So you can head over to the Sustainable Westchester website to see more information about the contractors, and we encourage you, give them a call, have them come out to the house and do that energy assessment. And we would love to collaborate with you. So we are hosting lots of online webinars. We certainly can give presentations, and we'd love to collaborate on outreach and marketing. I see Mark Seiden is on the call, and many years ago, we had an open house in an energized home. We did a home energy assessment for his brokers, and really was a lovely day a couple of years ago. So we are totally open to collaborating and sharing information for both buyers, renters, and whoever is interested in electrifying their home and reducing their energy bills. So now we're going to move on and hear from Matt Dean from Association for Energy Affordability, who will be sharing a little bit of information about the home energy score.
Thanks, Lauren. Can you see my screen now?
Yeah, I can see it correctly.
I was preparing just to make sure, because it's tricky. You get if you especially have two screens, and then the next thing you know, you're trying to find all these different buttons, and yeah, it's Zoom is always an interesting adventure. So I'd like to thank everyone for coming today. I'd like to thank Hudson Valley Gateway Association Realtors for hosting, Sustainable Westchester and Lauren for their work in putting this together. And I really want to continue with the theme that Lauren was talking about in terms of the home energy assessment or audit, which is a word that we're trying to get away from because people think of the IRS and then they get scared and they won't do it. So we're saying more assessments is what we're doing. And the home energy score program is really a home assessment program that is taking place all across the country. Basically all across the country, municipalities in particular are putting in place regulations that state when a building is sold or leased and listed on an LMS site, they want to disclose the energy information. And the way they're doing that is by having a home energy score assessment performed on the home. And what the report does is it's an assessment of the assets of the building. It's an asset-based report and not so much an energy modeling report that gets into occupant behavior and things like that. Let me see this chat. Is something wrong with the chat? Okay. And that was a move that was made at the real estate market's request because, different people live in different buildings and live in different ways. So we wanted to have the most middle of the road approach to having the assessment done. So it really only looks at the assets of the home, the HVAC systems of the home, the location of the home, the insulation levels in the walls and the roof area and in the basement areas, and doesn't really look at, say, the appliances or the lighting or the habits that might affect the thermostat temperature and things like that. Just the things really that would be left behind once the house is sold, right? And they take everything that's not bolted down. And so across the country, these reports are being done. And I think I should just get more into the presentation to show how that's all working. So what is a home energy score? Miles per gallon. That's sort of the way they're looking at it, because you really need to treat each building as its own building compared to buildings of similar size and location. You can't take a 1,500 square foot home and that score and compare it to a 5,000 square foot home and that building score. So I try to treat the score as almost like just where we start with this home. All right, so we did the assessment and you got a 1 or 2 or 3, and it has recommendations in the report that say if you do these things, you can bring your score up a couple of points. Most homes score pretty low on the report, and as the marketplace establishes itself, people recognize that, particularly the buyers and the sellers, and they're not so freaked out because they got a low score. to get a 10, you'd have to have like an Energy Star house, and there aren't many Energy Star homes. To get even like a 7, 8, or 9, you'd have to have a really, really efficient home, which we don't see. Like most homes aren't completely insulated and air sealed and have solar on them and 95% efficient heating systems and hot water systems and air conditioning systems. They just don't have that. So most homes are somewhere between 1 and 5 when we do the initial scoring. And so once the market establishes itself and they see that, people then are like, oh, okay, so that's more the area that we're working in. But when we see these things, these reports being used, the homes are selling for more money and they're selling faster. And that's why they're really being utilized by realtors in the markets where these things have been established. And right now they're being used on mainly 1 to 4 unit homes. There are programs like in the city where they're having multifamily buildings have grades done. Those are through a different style of home energy score and has whole different benchmarkings that they're using. So that's a whole other thing because they're multifamily buildings or commercial buildings. So they're much, much larger. So there's going to be different reports for different buildings. There might even be different reports for same size buildings. There's a home energy score, there's Pearl, there's Treat software. There's a lot of different software. There's LEED, there's Passive House, but all those different reports are really, they're sort of like fast food restaurants, right? They're the same food that just presented in a different manner, but it's the same information. They're all fighting for the marketplace to be like our report, but the reports have the same exact information. And so what does a home energy score do? Knowing how your home uses energy can lead to effective efforts to reduce energy usage, right? So the idea behind it is that if we have a marketplace where these reports are being done on the buyer's side, and then they're seeing how their home scores, and if they do these recommendations, they can improve their score. They can then say, oh, my house is more energy efficient than most homes on the market, and use that as a bargaining chip to not reduce the price, right? They can also use it in the appraisal because they can use the savings that are realized from the work that was done and incorporate that into the cost or income approach sections of the appraisal and treat it like rental income. Be like, well, this house is $3,000 cheaper a year to operate. That's like having a rental unit of, $300 a month or something like that, which doesn't seem like a lot, but if that work lasts for 20 years and it saves $3,000, that's $60,000 less that the buyer would have to spend on energy costs. And $60,000 is a pretty nice BMW in your driveway. So, a lot of people respond positively to that sort of information, right? Also, at the time of resale, you'd be able to get a better, price for your home. And so what are, again, the benefits of what we're talking about right now? This might be more with the report, right? Identify high performing assets in your home. So what good things do you have about your home and what things do we need to work on? That would be the opportunities to increase comfort. And that's another thing we're selling with these reports. It's not just savings or, let's save the earth. It's comfort. I live in Pelham and a lot of people spend a decent amount of money on their home and they're aggravated when they buy a home and the floors are cold and the room where their kids sleep is cold. That really bothers them. They feel ripped off. And I think having this report done by the seller and having these things, you can sell peace of mind really to people. Lauren was talking about CO detectors and that sort of thing by having mini splits put in. That is a big, how do you put a price tag on health and safety, peace of mind, comfort, right? Those things are almost, they're not priceless, but they're getting close to it. And then, of course, efficiency in the home and reduce your carbon footprint, make the home safer, increases the value. And the reports prioritize the upgrades, which is typically insulation and air sealing work is the most bang for your buck. And so now the home is easier to sell. Remember, we got a lot more millennials buying homes. You show them a home with a 3-car garage and say like, oh, look at all these cars you can put in here. They're like, where's the bike path? They're not very impressed with 3-car garages. Well, at least for now, right? And then they have 5 kids and they're like, where's that 3-car garage? No. So what is the home energy score? Again, it's a rating system for your home. And it comes from the Department of Energy. and it's being used all across the country. You know, municipalities like Austin, Portland, Chicago, Florida, Colorado, all of them have really instituted that you have to have a home energy score done when the building is putting up for sale or for lease. This is what the report looks like. So it shows your home at a 2, but if you did all the recommendations, it goes to a 7 and will save this much money a year and this many BTUs of energy, right? And that's how we present these reports in terms of going from the 2 to a 7, which would be really great. A 7 on a home is a really great score. And if you can imagine, like, you're all realtors, not all of you, but a lot of you on this call are realtors. Imagine you're on Zillow, and imagine instead of little prices over those buildings, there were energy scores over those buildings. And that's really how this is sort of working, is that we have these reports done that generate, right, the score and then what you can go to. Okay. And here's a list of the recommendations. It kind of repair now, repair later, gives you an idea of what the savings are. Okay. And the way the reports are done is there's an initial sort of, you would discuss what's going to be done and you would have the assessment done, and then a crew would come in and do the work. And then typically there's a post inspection where someone comes in to make sure the work was done correctly, that what they said was going to be done was actually done. Right? So you contact the provider, schedule the evaluation, someone comes in and does that, the work, you get the report, and then you plan on the work that's going to be done, and you make those upgrades. Someone comes and looks at that, and they can actually then change the report to reflect that, right? That those things were done. And then you get that copy of that report to, like, you know, hand out if you're going to sell the home. There are financing options available, right? More and more loans are being given out for green loans. And so this would be a third-party verification that that had indeed been done. So you would qualify for those initiatives. I'm just trying to get through as well for questions because I want to have at least 10 minutes for that. So if you're selling your home, the home energy score can be published in what we call the Green Building Registry. And that's sort of what I was getting to a few slides ago, is that we noticed that a lot of realtors weren't wanting to enter this information. They didn't know enough about it, and that's not a strike against them, because I don't know a lot about appraising and selling a home, and so I'm not trying to learn that while I'm doing these home assessments. And so the idea is that you would have a hyperlink JPEG photo in your LMS listing, and so the buyer, right, looking on Zillow, could click that. And that hyperlinks them to the Green Building Registry, which would then show the neighborhood and all the properties there, and would show their house, and they could click on it and would show the energy information. But it also shows all the energy information for all the other houses in the neighborhood. And they get an idea, like, wait a minute, this house actually stinks, or this house is actually really great. Or we're looking at these 2 different homes, and this house is going to cost $3,000 a year less to operate than that home. Let's buy that home. And that's what drives the market. We're not requiring anyone to do the work, right? This is America. You can sell a piece of junk if you want to. That's your God-given right. But you have to tell someone that that's what you're selling, right? It's all about disclosure. If the house had a mold issue, or water damage, or I'm sure other realtors know exactly what information they need to disclose. And that's what this is about. You're just disclosing the energy information on this building so the buyer can make a more educated purchase, right? And compare it to other buildings. In larger buildings, it gets even more pronounced, right? If you were looking to buy office space and the bills were going to be $50,000 less a year, office space in the town. Home still has, like, oh, I really love the location of this house, or I fell in love with the look of this house. That still does play a big, huge part in it, I would imagine, right? That's why people go for the pictures first. That's why the information is going to be on the JPEG picture first, because that's what people look at first, right? Are the pictures of the house. So it'll be right there, like, click, and it'll bring them there. But again, as people learn more about this, they start knowing, like, oh, this also translates to comfort. This translates to health and safety. This, all those things come along with having a better or a higher score. So you can see, like, 1 would be you're going to have high energy costs, right? That would be a lower performing building. 10, again, that would be like an Energy Star house. So we don't see many 10s or 8s or 9s or 8s, whatever, right? Most are somewhere between 1 and 5 to start. And when you have the work done, you're probably about like 5 or 6 or something like that, somewhere in that range. Especially most homes are existing homes, right? My house is 100 years old. The framing, the way this building was built is only going to allow it to get so efficient. Also the size of it. If you're in a 3,000 square foot house, it's like buying a Hummer. If you have a Hummer, there's only so much you can do to that Hummer to make it energy efficient, right? You could be like 95% efficient, but it's a Hummer, right? It's still going to use a ton of gas. So there's just nothing you can do about that. So bigger houses have that sort of disadvantage. But again, if a buyer needed a 4,000 or 5,000 square foot house because they were the Brady Bunch, then they're going to see that all these 4,000 or 5,000 square foot homes all have the same sort of score range, right? So they're not going to be like, why isn't this house a 9, right? Because there are no 5,000 square foot homes that are 9s, right? That doesn't happen unless it's like new construction, passive house with, mechanical ventilation systems and solar and all kinds of stuff in there. And so, right, so no green fields in the MLS, right? The MLS listings that I've seen when I've sat with realtors and try to enter the information, it's really just about what's there. And a lot of times, again, the realtors don't know how to identify a heat pump on hot water. They don't know that's a mini split, let alone that the mini split's efficiency is 0.92, right? And so this takes all of that away. The assessment's done. The assessor puts that information into the green building registry, and all the realtor has to do is take that JPEG picture with the hyperlink and put it in with the photos. Done. That's it. That's all they have to do. But they really should know how to explain a lot of these things, right? I'm going through this pretty fast and talking about, the green building registry and all, and insulation and air sealing and heat pumps and right. And so I'm going to plug myself, but I have a series of classes called Building Science for Real Estate Professionals that helps explain these reports, how to read, interpret, and explain these reports to the buyers and to sellers, right? To sort of move the market towards a pre-approval process where maybe you have this and an inspection done in the beginning. I am working with realtors who are doing that, who are seeing the benefit of selling this pre-certified home instead of waiting till the end of the line and being like, oh, we did all this work and now there's a problem and the home sale's not going to go through. Right? And right now these reports are not required disclosures. So if you're wondering if you had this done and the score was crappy and you're like, oh, I don't want to, you don't have to disclose that right now because however that works in the real estate industry, it's not there because it's not a program really established right now. In New York State, I manage a pilot program that is working with realtors, home inspectors, and contractors for the scores to be done. And right now the scores are free, the home energy scores through this pilot program. If you want to have more information on that, you can email me. I will put this up in the chat to get more information about that because we are opening up where these inspections are being performed in the pilot program. So you can get more information on that. And like Lauren had said, NYSERDA is really supporting a lot of this move to have these home energy scores done. So I left this slide from when I was in Queens, right? They're doing it more than just Queens, but they're also doing it in Queens, right? And then I think we were going to try to leave the last 10 minutes or so for questions. And so I guess with that, we're open to questions now. So thank you for your time. And so I think the questions are really for everybody, for any of the different programs.
There's some questions in the chat. I'll go back to the first one. Where are the solar panels manufactured?
I think that was directed at community solar. Do you know, Maria?
Yes, I was trying to take myself off mute. So I don't specifically know, but many are manufactured right here in New York State. And I think it is dependent upon the solar developer. But I can get more information if someone wanted to know specifically to each of our solar projects.
Okay. Does community solar count towards your energy score?
So I leave that to Matt.
It would, because you'd be if you were using solar, well, I see
If
what
you
you're
had
saying.
solar panels
Wow.
separate from being a subscriber to community solar, I think those are the.
Yeah, that would be more about it, because this is more looking at the assets that the home has. And if someone were to move, right, and someone were to move in, that new person could say, well, I don't want community solar, right? So that
Well,
would be
right.
considered more of a occupant behavior. And
Correct.
home energy
And-
score doesn't look at that.
Right, and community solar enrollment moves with your account. So it's attached to your account. So it doesn't stay with the home, it stays with the, where it stays with the enrollee.
Someone's asking for the link to request the energy score. I guess if somebody could put that link in the chat.
So I would say reach out to me, because right now it's a pilot program, so there really is no link, right? It's a pilot. And so we're mainly doing it through these contractors and realtors who are participating with us, and then they're offering it sort of to the, so if you are interested in it, reach out to me and I will get you in touch with the contact at NYSERDA, who can put you in contact with those people in your area.
And
Oh, Rebecca's looking for the home energy assessment. Yeah, Rebecca, you can send me an email and we can talk more about the home energy assessment, the contractor coming to the house to do a series of diagnostic testing. They'll run the blower door, do the infrared test to see how much energy your house is using. And maybe Matt, you want to stop sharing your screen and we can see other people. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't know if I was, because it said questions. Did it stop?
Yeah, why not? Now we can see each other.
Okay.
I put my email in the chat, Rebecca, for you to send me an email. And then there was one more question from Elizabeth, I think we passed by. She asked if this is already on the MLS listings and does it get syndicated to Zillow and other sites?
Not yet, but if you type in, right, green building registry, if you type that into Google search, it'll bring you to the Green Building Registry website, which was sort of in my presentation. There was like a picture of that, and it shows you, it's a really simple screen. It has one bar there. It says type in an address. And the idea is that you would type in the address of the building you're talking about. And if any energy information was related to that building, it shows you it. You can also, though, type in something like Chicago, or if you want to really see how scores are, and you zoom in and it starts showing you there, you have to kind of play with it a little bit and select which reports you want to see. And there's like these options and stuff, and it'll show you all the different reports. So like someplace like Chicago or Portland, where HES, home energy score, is mandated, right? If you click home energy score and then zoom in on that municipality, you'll notice all these little dots start showing up. And you can then see, it looks like a zoom, it's just like a Google map view on Zillow, like all the little homes with these little circles over it. But instead of prices, they're little like scores, and you click it, and then it shows you the home energy score, like all the energy information. So that's sort of how that is being worked. I mean, you can still, when you're, let's say the buyer is telling, get your hands on the hard copy paper report for the building. But that's how the Green Building Registry works. Awesome. How do we get that to New York 8? So that's why I'm working with this pilot program right now. So just an FYI, New York City last year passed that law for the 25,000 square foot buildings or larger to have these reports done. The pilot I manage for NYSERDA ends in 2022, which means that most likely in 2023 or 2024, I would think this will become a law, that all buildings in New York State will be required to have a home energy score performed on them at the time of sale or listing. And you'll have to have a third-party verification come in, someone like me. Well, I'm more training and stuff, but come in and do this report. We're training home inspectors to add it as part of their business. So the cost increase wouldn't really be very much, because they're already taking all these measurements. And what we're seeing through the pilot is that it only adds about 30 or 40 minutes to their total time for what they're doing. So they're thinking like they would add like $150 to their price to have this done. But you could have it done by someone who just does the report, say like a seller only wants to have that part done. You could do that and maybe they charge you, $400 or something. But again, those prices were dictated by realtors telling us, listen, we spend $700 on a home inspection, we spend $600 on a mold inspection. Like, those are the going rates that we're paying these inspections that take, it only takes about an hour or two in the building, but then it takes an hour or so back at the office. So someone's spending 3 or 4 hours or 5 hours of their time. That's the price, So you really should understand how to explain these reports. So we're gonna work with HGAR to schedule some of these classes so that you guys can take them. Really.
I had a question regarding the solar community. It's actually a two-part question. One, is there a cost to join that? And two, if you do join, like I have Con Edison right now, would I have to cancel Con Edison? How does that work?
So no canceling. The community solar is the program that overlays on any of your utility delivery, so Con Edison or otherwise. And if you wanted to take advantage of the Westchester Power program based on where you live, if it's available in your municipality, you would be able to opt into that community energy program. And for all intents and purposes, it would become your default. And in your opt-in process, your Con Edison account would only be the delivery portion of your bill. So, and then that is the same for NYSEG as well, or a private ESCO. And we caution the folks who are private ESCO consumers to ensure before they decide to make a commitment to Westchester Power to understand their contracts, because many of them have penalties to leaving an ESCO early and that sort of thing. So does that answer?
Maria, to join the community solar?
Did you say cost? No cost. No cost, no fees, no cost, no fuss, no muss. Literally 7 minutes to sign up. You provide your credit card information for most of the solar providers, and they will debit your credit card the amount of the solar credit, 10% less than the amounts of the solar credits you get on your bill. So think of it like buying $100 gift certificate for $90. So that's where the 10% savings come in. So
I have a question. How is that different from clean energy?
So
I think there's just like so much confusion about all the different things you could do on your electricity bill for sure. So what we're talking about here, Westchester Power, is making sure your supply is coming from 100% renewable. It's actually from hydroelectric dams in New York State. So that's Westchester Power, your supply. Then you can stack on top. So you're like doubling your clean energy action. You can stack on top your participation in community solar, and that's what's going to give you the 10% savings. So like for me, my utility bill from Con Ed reflects that I'm in the Westchester Power program. You can take a look on the last page. It'll say in a little tiny box, thanks for participating with Sustainable Westchester. And then on top of that, I receive my bill from Power Market, my solar farm. So that helps me get the 10% savings on my monthly utility bill. And I recommend participating in both, but certainly an easy way to get started is just to sign up for community solar. It's worth it for the savings alone.
Right. And your utility bill actually reflects the solar credits each month. So if Lauren's bill was $100, let's say, and she got $90 in solar credits, her Con Ed bill would be less that $90. But that Power Market company that she just referred to is the community solar developer that she has, that she's enrolled with. When they bill her for that $90, they're actually billing her less 10%. So that's where she gets, so they'll bill her, say, $80-something or $70-something.
So on average, is there an amount that you could save each month? That's what I'm just trying to get.
Yes, it's about up to 10% each month.
Up to 10%.
Right. And so of course, the actual dollars and cents depends on your usage. So homes that, are using $200-300 a month in electricity, and someone in an apartment might be using $50 or $60, but it's up to 10%.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody wrote, can you sign up for the community solar if you have solar panels or is it one or the other?
Right, that's the only exclusion. So if you have solar panels on your home, you are excluded from participating in a community solar program. You're getting all of the wonderful benefits directly into your home, though, of those solar panels. So yeah, no, that's the only exclusion in this instance. And the exclusion for Westchester Power is obviously you need to be in one of the participating municipalities.
If I can get there, yeah.
Does anyone else have any other questions?
I just wanted to add, hi, everybody. I'm Dana Levenberg, Town of Boston Supervisor, and I'm sorry, I thought I was on mute and I wasn't. I just wanted to add that we recently, Mary Knoll, which is in the Town of Boston, recently applied for and successfully got a community solar installation there. They have a solar canopy installation that's going in right now. And that's part of the community solar mix. So you can opt into super local if you happen to be in this area for that community solar piece of the energy supply or electricity supply mix, which we think is pretty dandy. Just wanted to let you know.
Thank you. Okay, I want to thank Matt Dean of Energy Affordability, and thank you so much. Matt actually sponsored today's event, and also thank you to Lauren Bryce of the Sustainable Westchester. A lot of really great information, a lot. So we are recording this, and hopefully I'll be able to send this around to everyone this afternoon. And it's a really great tool to share with your potential home buyers as well. You know, especially those that are buying maybe older homes that really need some extra help and that can really run up your utility bills. But thank you both, and thank you all for attending. And we will see you, our next Breakfast with Benefits is all about taxes and how we can save more money from the tax man. So make sure you sign up for that one. Thanks so much and have a great day. Bye-bye,
Thank
everyone.
you. Bye-bye.